Hello mortals. I know, I look cooler. Thank you for the compliments. Anyways, do you know this big ball called Earth? Well, it's also called Blue Planet because of the insane amount of liquid water that exists on that planet. And no, the water isn't blue. The sea water is blue because of the composition of the water and the light. Because of the particles that exist dissolved in the water. The red, orange and yellow parts of the spectrum are the ones that more easily are absorbed by the water while the blue part is more easily reflected. Thus we see the sea water blue. But don't forget, water is transparent. Anyways, did you know that we can represent our planet by drawing a beach? And I'm here to explain why. Scientists have divided our home sweet home in 4 different Earth subsystems, and they all have established exchanges with each other, creating a perfect equilibrium. First subsystem, Hydrosphere. The hydrosphere represents all the solid and liquid water in water courses on the planet. Seas, rivers, lakes, oceans, icebergs and so on. But it doesn't contain gaseous water or water that occupies 70% of your body. We will speak about what exchanges do the subsystems with each other later. Second subsystem, atmosphere. This is the most obvious. The atmosphere means air. It means all the gaseous substances that surround the Earth's surface. It's called atmo because of atoms. Huge molecules like the organic ones don't exist in the atmosphere. It is mostly composed by molecules of nitrogen, composed each one of them with 2 atoms of nitrogen. It occupies 78.08% of the atmosphere. Without it, wildfires would be 5 times more dangerous. Because it separates a big part of oxygen from the fire. And speaking of oxygen, it makes up almost 21% of the atmosphere. Also existing in molecules, each one of them with 2 atoms. The remaining 1% consists in individual atoms and carbon dioxide. Wait, individual atoms. You need to know what are the noble gases. They are helium, argon, neon, krypton, xenon and radon. They are elements that naturally spawn as gases, and because of their electron configuration, they are extremely stable and don't create molecules. Don't matter the conditions. They are commonly used in many tasks. For example, helium is used for balloons and high-pitched voices.
Inspiras. Inspira aí, assim.
Olá, tudo bem?
Neon was used inside TV tubes, and it's also used to make signs. When scientists pump it into glass tubes and plug them into the wall, the neon will glow very brightly. Krypton is used to keep Superman away. If you're a Karen, first of all, you're wrong. You're all wrong. Carbon dioxide, it's not the biggest cause of the global warming. You see, it's all caused by the Gaia hypothesis. That says that the Earth works as an organism capable of having homeostasis. As a refresher, homeostasis is the capacity of controlling the inside temperature according to the outside. For example, when it's cold, you will conserve heat and release less. But when it's summer, you will release more in order to become comfortable and have the perfect temperature for a good day. It says that the Earth is always heating up itself during years and then cooling itself for more years. Then heating up again. Other proof that you're wrong is literally the global temperature and carbon dioxide production values after the Second World War. While humans were producing a shit ton of carbon dioxide, temperature was decreasing. The carbon dioxide is still a gas that don't let the Earth heat go to space. But that only happens on very small scales. Next subsystem is the lithosphere. The word lithos in Greek means rocky. And it's basically rock. The lithosphere represents the sand of our beach. It can be divided in something called tectonic plates. Briefly, the world is divided between 22 major tectonic plates that are not stable. Imagine them being not only a puzzle but also a escalator. A tectonic plate is always in movement, but always have the same size. This happens because the velocity of its creation and destruction are the same. They are born when the magma underneath the Earth's surface decides to say hi in order to drop magma to the surface. That magma will transform into rock, creating lithosphere. This large volcano is situated underwater and it's called ridge. But where does it die? Say hello to the trench. They are formed when two plates collide with each other and one of them is pushed into the magma. Thus, it will fuse. Tectonic plates can be of three different types. Convergent, when two plates are colliding with each other creating trenches. Divergent, when they are keeping their distance from the other creating ridges and transform. When they rub against themselves. When the ridge instead of being chillin' at the bottom of the ocean decides to come outside, it will create something called Iceland. The best example of trench is the Mariana Trench in the Pacific, and for the transform plates, the San Andreas Fault extending itself for 1,290 kilometers through California. The most recent earthquakes that occur because of this bad boy were in 1857, 1957, 1989 and 2004. However, despite all the options, the one that occurred in 1906 were the most devastating earthquake created from the San Andreas Fault, killing 3,000 people. Happening during 14 past 5 am of April 18, 1906. With the magnitude of 7.9, just a bit lower than the 1755 Lisbon earthquake with an average of 8.8 and killing 10 times more than the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco. Oh, and earthquakes also cause tsunamis, so stay away from the water whenever an earthquake happens. Now let's go back to the topic. The last subsystem is the best one and it's called Biosphere. It represents the people of the beach and some dead bodies reported. The biosphere is the worldwide sum of all ecosystems. All the plants, animals, your crush, bacterias are part of this big subsystem. Being in mass, the one that occupies the least on Earth. It also includes viruses because they exist in ecosystems but they are not living beings. Combine all this subsystems and bam! You have created Earth, or other planet like Mercury, Mars or Jupiter. Think about the most simple exchanges created from a subsystem to another. Like breathing. When a living being breathes, it is giving to the atmosphere carbon dioxide and receiving oxygen. The biosphere also knows the hydrosphere. Thus the fish will breathe underwater. The lithosphere is also home for animals like worms and like to have exchanges with the biosphere whenever some living being dies. The rotten body will decay into mineral matter, which is absorbed by the soil and is given to plants. Hydrosphere and lithosphere are by far the most annoying subsystems. The water will make a tsunami and eat stuff on the lithosphere which, you might say, will dissolve. For example, they also have organic and mineral exchanges whenever a fish dies. Meanwhile, the atmosphere is just chillin'. It will participate in the water cycle. It receives evaporated water because of the sun. But then it will throw it back as it rains, snows or thunders. And speaking of thunders, pool water doesn't attract lightning. However, pool water has chlorine that is electrically conductive. Lightning forms when warm and cold clouds find each other. The cold cloud has ice crystals while the warm cloud has water droplets. During the storm, the droplets and crystals bump together and move apart in the air. This rubbing makes static electrical charges in the clouds. Just like a battery, these clouds have a plus end and a minus end. The plus charges in the cloud are at the top while the minus ones are at the bottom. When the charge at the bottom gets strong enough, the cloud lets out energy. The energy will go through the air to a place where the electrical charge is the opposite. This lightning bolt of energy that is let out is called a leader stroke, and it can go from the cloud or from a cloud to another cloud. But just to be sure, the subsystems of the Earth have an incredible power, mainly for bad things. So who knows if the floor below will happen now. Protect yourself, mortals. See you soon.